Scary. Terry.
Scary. Terry. Whoa.
He's so scary.
Scores 4 points in 35 minutes. Scary. Whoa. Welcome back to... Oh, it's not the Grady podcast anymore. I forgot. Welcome back to Throwing from the One for the first time ever, not the Grady podcast. The Dana White's Dirty Drawer show still.
Yeah, sure.
All right. So episode 32 of Throwing from the One, a.k.a. the Dana White's Dirty Draw show. Daylight podcast for the first time in forever. I know, man. My skin's crawling. It's weird. I'm feeling it, believe me. Loosely joined by a friend of the podcast, Alex Wong, as usual. How's it going?
It's going good, people.
Alex is rocking it as usual. Yeah.
Wu-Tang Wong.
So we're officially into the dark times.
Yeah.
Jeremy.
Wah, wah, wah.
But I feel like it has been a pretty decent dark time as far as dark times go so far. This sun is like the worst. I know, like I was happy about natural light until I realized that it would only be in my eyes.
Yes.
And not actually even really lighting stuff.
That's why I don't go outside.
Yeah, we'll be getting to mostly drama. Actually, no, it's not mostly drama, I guess. AB drama is notable still. Anthony Davis developments, of which that continues to be a constant thing. Yeah, I mean, really, the NBA is blessing us with their artificial drama.
This is why they
cycle
want Adam Silver.
For the NFL.
Yes.
Oh God, what a nightmare! Can you imagine if the NFL had this kind of appetite for drama and ability to just create it? By the way, professional Rocket League players are really good at Rocket League. These guys are pretty ridiculous, Jeremy.
Woo! Did you see that little spin diddly do there? What?
I know, man. It's just like shot, save, shot, save. We're watching esports from 2 years ago. I don't really know why. Yeah, I don't know. What do you want to start with? Our topics list is super disorganized. There's nothing at the top.
Then start at the bottom.
No, the bottom is the baseball stuff, which is the worst. Which I guess we can clear the baseball off the board to get it out of the way. So bear with us, because baseball is starting, sort of. I mean, pitchers and catchers are reported. When is like real spring training? It's got to be. It's coming up, right?
Yeah,
Like-
game's starting like basically right before the end of the month.
Yeah. Okay. So unbelievable how much baseball these guys have to play. It's ridiculous. And it's part of the reason that there's no buzz around the league, but also, or the majors, the leagues, but also, Jeremy, still no contracts for Bryce Harper, Manny Machado.
Yeah.
The Justin Verlander tweet said it was what, like 100 plus free agents unsigned right now.
Yeah.
And I don't, that's the extent of my baseball research is Justin Verlander tweets and sounds I've heard from Red Sox camp. But it's pretty boring. The baseball, like it's funny because the NBA right now is in, the sort of the doldrum of their season. Like we're hitting the All-Star break, which is for most people a very literal break in the season, because the weekend stuff, I mean, who cares? So you're getting to an actual break in the season. We're not revved up to the like final run yet, but the NBA is still, the trade deadline's passed, and still all we're talking about is NBA trades and free agency. It's
Yeah.
like the NBA free agency thing is a literal year-round cycle. You talk about like what a guy's free agency is going to be 2 years in the future. In baseball, two of the biggest free agents of the last decade are remaining unsigned through the entire offseason, and I don't feel like it's even really been a story nationally.
No.
You don't like how much. I mean, I've been pretty tuned out of ESPN for
more,
a while. But,
more Machado stuff than Harper.
Well,
There's been reports like of him visiting the Padres and the Sox a couple times each.
reasonably so, because I mean,
And there was a report that came out a few days ago that the Astros actually had a very substantial offer on the table right before the trade deadline
Yeah, but
last year to try and get him.
oh yeah, I did see that actually. But a substantial trade offer, that's like, were they gonna sign him? And if so, like they were just renting him.
Yeah.
At which point, I don't know. I don't know if that's the way to do it in baseball.
Did you see Alex Bregman declared a rivalry with the Red Sox?
Alex Bregman declared a rivalry.
Yeah.
I think there's a rivalry there. They've been among the top teams in the AL for the last couple years, playoff series and whatnot. There's a rivalry there. It's not. You don't need to declare it.
He did
Alex.
walk. It's serious now.
And him declaring it, he's not the one who gets to decide. By the way, he can go like strike out and talk crap on Instagram or whatever he does. Isn't that what he does? It's not always strike out.
He's pretty good.
I know he's good, but but that was what happened in the playoffs. That's how I know him. Yeah, I think it's a problem. I don't like talking about baseball because there's so little buzz. It just doesn't. I still like watching it, especially when the weather's nice in person, But it's like as a TV sport, as a casual sporting fans, spectator sport, and as a like news cycle, stories to follow sport. It's just I don't like when people call sports boring because it's just but I think baseball's boring. It's getting pretty boring for me. Again, not watching a baseball game at the ballpark is not boring at all. Watching a baseball game on a lazy Sunday when I don't have anything to do is fine. But fundamentally, baseball is like, it's as boring to me to talk about, to think about as golf.
Yeah, well, I mean,
Kyler
Murray agreed with you.
Yeah,
that was basically
that's weird.
His
dude.
He specifically said like baseball's kind of hard to watch.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of hard to watch, and it's also like it is fair to think about that. Realistically, as a baseball player, like you have to be at the ballpark for 250 days out of the year or whatever it is. Some insane amount. Like they play way too much baseball for sure. So. Yeah, I wouldn't want to. I wouldn't as a pitcher too, and you throw once every 4 days, and you literally just have to sit in that bullpen 162 days out of like 180 or whatever, and that's your season. That sounds terrible.
Did you see Madison Bumgarner's tweets about? Or I guess it wasn't a tweet, but there was a rumor because the winter meetings just were a few weeks ago, and there was a rumor that Bochy, the Giants manager, was looking into the opener proposition that the Rays made famous last year, and A's, I guess. And Madison Bumgarner apparently texted him and said he'll walk out of the ballpark if he tries to put it in an opener for him.
That's pretty funny.
Mad Bum.
I think that I did not see that. And I don't know if this is because I'm tuned out or if it is actually an indicator. But we didn't talk at all about the winter meetings, I realized when you said that. And there was actual like legit proposed rule changes at the winter meetings that are interesting stories. And I feel like, we missed it for sure, but I don't feel like it was people were talking about it.
That's because they didn't really end up going with any of them this year.
That's true. Yeah, I guess it's hard to get excited about baseball saying we're
cut down
thinking
the pitch
about
clock again a little bit.
Yeah, they gotta start doing something, but everybody knows it. I think that the baseball, the pace of play, all that discussion has really been beat to death.
Yeah, I really don't know if it's a salvageable situation.
Yeah,
I think baseball might just have to live with the reality of being the thing you turn on when there's not much on, and people only really like to go on like a nice sunny day for the majority of people.
Yeah, for sure.
I think that's what baseball really has been since like 2001.
Yeah.
And I think that's the way it's really gonna stay. Except
it varies
except
by
in
market.
I was gonna say except in like St. Louis, they're famous about the Cardinals sell out basically every game. The Sox do too, but
Yeah, there's
Fenway's tiny, and it's Fenway.
Well,
and
yeah.
the Red Sox.
yeah, they're I mean they also sell out a lot of games to people who just are going to see the Red Sox at Fenway because it's a thing to do.
Yeah.
But Boston is still a market with an appetite for baseball. But I mean those are definitely the exceptions. And generally it's like baseball's not a. I mean, maybe in the most literal sense, America's pastime. Like it's like baseball is just there from here on out. Maybe I mean the majors in their current they might not last.
When the Mariners were good though, for that little bit walk, like it. I mean, I remember me and Henry were trying to go. So Henry was like, "Yo, dude, you trying to go to the Red Sox game?" It was like a Friday night in beginning of June. So we were like, first in division or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And we were playing the Red Sox, and it was Paxton. I think Sale was also going that night. So it was, like the Aces,
Yep.
Friday night, Red Sox. And Henry was like, "Dude, you trying to go to the game?" I was like, "Yeah, sure." And then halfway down there, I'm like, "So where are tickets?" He's like, "Oh, we don't have tickets yet." I was like, "We don't have tickets yet?" He's like, "Yeah, we're just gonna buy them." I'm like, "Dude, this is different. Like, this is Friday night Red Sox, and we're good. And the Aces are going." And sure enough, we couldn't get tickets.
Oh no! Did you guys legit turn around?
Well,
Or you just stayed in Seattle or whatever, found something else to do?
I was a little frustrated because I was like, "This is gonna be a problem," and Henry and his dad were like, "Nah, not a problem." I was like, "This is gonna be a problem." We get there, oh yeah, it's a problem. Time to go turn around, basically.
Nice. That's pretty, yeah. On that note, friend of the podcast, Hen Dunn, heading off to Uruguay.
Oh yeah,
Sending a friend
Official
of the podcast away.
Rip of the podcast.
They're dropping like flies, dude. I mean, seriously.
I'm only gonna be here another month, dude.
I know. Yeah, we got to talk about that also with everybody. So stay tuned for a later update on the future of the podcast edition.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's enough baseball for sure. The NFL stuff I think is fairly interesting for the early off season. We've already had some pretty notable storylines popping up / getting settled, which I don't mean to foreshadow the settlement, the Kaepernick and Eric Reed settlement, one of those, but that is one of the things. Actually, I mean, we're going all out of order. I think that's a, good move by the NFL and kind of regular old fishy NFL. I mean, for those who don't know, and we don't know, for the record, what the settlement is, but the reports are like 60 to 80 million for cap.
Yeah, well, I saw people extrapolating. He won $20 million a year. He's missed 2 seasons.
Yeah.
So 2 seasons at $20 million, and then like future career potential earnings of like,
another season.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and that's, that's the reports. And the notable, that's only Kaepernick, not Reed, who also settled. But then the notable thing, I think, is the non-disclosure part of it.
Yeah.
Because it's all confidentially settled. There's no public court process. There's no we would have had owners in court, league officials in court, sworn, under oath.
Yeah.
And now they
don't want that.
No, of course they don't. And I mean, we don't know what the money is for Kaepernick, but I think for him and Reed, it would have had to be a pretty hefty sum for sure to get those guys to settle, especially because they know that even if they lose, it's not going to be good for the NFL if it ends up going to court. Which is also obviously what the NFL knew. Like, even if they win, any of this stuff being in the public is bad for them. So I think this thing speaks, again, the fishy NFL thing about it is this isn't necessarily like this is a good PR move for the NFL. It makes sense for them to do it this way if Kaepernick and
Yep.
Reed are amenable.
Just get it over with.
But I do think
It's like the national anthem thing. Like
Yeah.
a lot of people were like didn't like the change, but you know what? It just had to end.
well for the NFL, I
Yeah.
mean they just from their perspective they just need there to not be these stories.
Yeah, exactly.
Slash want there to not be these stories, and all they want you to think about is the
I didn't want there to be
beautiful
that story.
monsters on the field. Well, yeah, but
It was annoying for a whole season.
Yeah, but that's
That was a key talking point every week.
But that's, I mean, yeah, I think that,
Maybe it's how progress is made, and maybe it's growing pains, but it was certainly obnoxious in the time.
yeah, I mean, that's, I feel like the obnoxious part though isn't, I don't know, I don't want to, I don't want to go back to it now. It makes sense for the NFL to get that stuff out of the way, but I also don't think that like this doesn't need to if there are, you know, media outlets and members that are going to be critical of this league, which I think they should be given the history of the league and what we know about them, then
Yeah,
like
that won't go away.
you have to then I'm saying, so then even when they do something like this, which is effectively getting this story out of the headline, you still have to look at it and say, well, what are they hiding then? And we don't know. So that's, you know, the good part for them, but I just think you have to keep it fresh in your mind. And I think it's a scary, like that league. I mean, the settlement on the former player's concussion lawsuit, which was, I think what was it, like 250 million or something, but it could have been way bigger. Mm-hmm. And I just think it's like a scary, like this league ultimately, as long as they have the insane amount of revenue that they have, like they can pretty much do whatever they want and then settle their way out of it. It's starting to seem like. And the concussion thing, I mean, what I know about that first settlement, a lot of people thought that if they ended up settling, it was going to be way bigger than the 250 million. I mean, I've seen economic, you know, like peer-reviewed studies that are saying that the precedent was that should have been a $2+ billion settlement. Like I've seen as high as $6 billion. People said made sense.
Where would you find
Exactly
precedent for that? That seems like a pretty
well from
other labor laws.
Yeah,
like
the labor
coal
precedent.
miner stuff.
Well, sort of, yeah.
Yeah.
But the labor precedent for taking care of these guys for their earning potential, the number of guys it was, and et cetera, et cetera. Which, yeah, I mean, again, 6 was the high range, but still a $2 billion settlement is like, whew, that's a chunk, even for the NFL. And you can't like, but $250 million, it's like, I mean, they can just keep on cranking these guys out, and they'll just settle once every couple generations with a couple thousand former players and play some violent football forever.
Yeah, well, we'll see. Because I mean, obviously, there's nothing to hide anymore on that front. So, you know,
Well, as far as we know, that's the problem with what's been hidden.
I suppose.
So, no, I think that is. I still think we have a lot to learn about head injuries and in sports in general and football.
Well, the key will be if they ever can really. They said they can't, but if they really like get to the point where they can identify CTE in the living, you know,
Yeah.
that'll be the nail in the coffin.
Well, yeah, potentially. I mean,
Some people might still play through, you know.
I think it can go a lot of different ways, but we're not through dealing with that for sure. The NFL is not through dealing with that, and I mean us as consumers of that league, I guess, are not through dealing with that because that's going to be a thing going forward.
Yeah,
And Kyler Murray wants to risk it. The head injuries.
He's a quarterback.
Yeah, that's true.
I was watching
Yeah.
an interview with Matt Ryan from Super Bowl week, and you know Matt Ryan's like 34 now, I think. Right, this is his 12th year in the league. Anyway, and they were like, "How are you doing, Matt? Like statistically, you know, you had one of your better seasons, blah blah blah, with the team, blah blah blah." And he was like, Yeah, well, I feel really great. He was like, they make it easy on us, so
It's true.
I may as well. And so they asked him, they were like, "You got 45 in mind, like Tom?" He was like, "Well, I mean, the way they're protecting us, I may as well like keep playing."
Yeah. No, I mean, it is true, and it's a different game for quarterbacks, and like it's a different game even in the last 3 years than it used to be for quarterbacks too. So that is fair. I just look at baseball and I just look at the massive earning potential for the like relatively low risk. Like even if he shreds his arm, he's probably gonna play. He's gonna make $50 million. Probably.
Kyler Murray?
Yeah.
I don't know about that.
If he shreds his arm in his first season in the majors, maybe.
Well, I mean, Kyler Murray probably wasn't gonna see the majors for 2 to 3 years.
Yeah, but I mean, also, I don't know. I mean, if he doesn't have any history, you can't look at it as
he had like $8 million guaranteed from his baseball contract if he would have stayed. But
yeah, but then
the first pick in the NFL draft gets like $38 million guaranteed.
Yeah, but he's not going to be a first pick. No, for sure.
Dude,
no. The projections that I've seen have him. Some people don't have him in the first round.
Okay, but Baker Mayfield was gonna go late 20s this time last year.
Yeah, I don't know.
And I mean, it's really him and Haskins.
Yeah, but
I don't think anyone else
throwing the shots every year isn't the way to do it.
Yeah, but I mean, okay, do you really think the best quarterback in the draft isn't going to go in the top 10?
Potentially, yeah.
I don't
know enough
happening.
about the draft, but
it's
I think
just
it's
too
possible.
Desperate. Everyone's too desperate for quarterbacks, dude.
It doesn't work.
Got to
though.
take the shot.
Yeah, I don't think you. Well, no, you don't. You definitely don't. NFL teams think that way, but they're wrong. That's the wrong way to go. It doesn't work. What take the shot guys work? Goff sucks ass. Darnold sucks. Allen sucks. Rosen sucks.
Oh, Rosen sucks. But I mean,
all those guys. None of those guys live up to what you're doing.
No,
you're wasting time with those picks. You're wasting time.
You can't tell me Darnold is a bust off his okay rookie year.
I'm not telling you he's a bust. I'm telling you I think he's not going to live up to that pick, and it was a waste to choose a guy that I still think is ultimately average at best.
Okay, but so many people are still saying that the Giants shouldn't have picked Saquon at 2.
Also true.
Well, then you're not picking the quarterbacks. You're not picking Saquon. Who are you picking? Just the O tackles? Those are the only guys worth taking.
No,
in
dude.
the top 10?
So you're saying you have to pick either. Okay, first of all, if you pick a running back in the top 15, you're fundamentally dumb in the NFL. Because look at Leonard Fournette. Look at every single one. Look what Zeke's done for Dallas. You can't win in the playoffs with a running back as your best player. They're not going to last more than 5 years. You're wasting your time. You're wasting picks. So picking a running back in any running back, Adrian Peterson up there, stupid. I don't care how good he is. Saquon, stupid. The quarterback, I'm not saying you don't pick the quarterback in the top 5, but just taking the 3 best guys every year and 3 of the top 10 picks doesn't work. 3/4 of them don't work out. You're throwing, that high in the NFL draft isn't supposed to be a crapshoot. There's great talent up there every single year.
Quarterbacks are always a crapshoot.
So crapshoot in the second round. That's what I'm saying. You're better off that way. If there's not the guy, if the guy's there, then take him, because Andrew Luck worked. Robert Griffin III worked until the Redskins ruined him. When the guy's there, you take him. If there's no guy there, you don't just throw shit at the quarterback wall.
Well, I don't think
they do, but that's not the way to do it.
That's why I think Kyler Murray will go so high, is because he is one of 2 that is not just throwing shit at the wall.
I still think he is.
It's still. Quarterbacks are always a crapshoot. Number 1 overall Ryan Leaf.
Well, Ryan Leaf.
That was personality issues.
But that's a singular mega bust.
Jamarcus Russell.
Yeah, so that's 2. But that's 2 busts, both of whom I'm pretty sure had character issues coming up the entire time.
Yeah.
And these are all guys with issues. There are guys that Matt Ryan.
David Carr.
Matt Ryan, Cam Newton. I think it's just as often that you see the guys picked at the top are the ones that do work, because they're coming and they're the talented guys that. That's how
Yeah. And I think just off 1 year, so far last year's class of first round quarterbacks, all except Rosen, he had a bad season, but I mean, his team was just so bad.
Josh Allen sucks ass too, dude. He
doesn't suck ass.
Yes, he does. He literally can't play.
I don't think
maybe
so.
not sucks ass, but he literally can't play in the NFL.
I don't think of that at all.
Okay, well, I know that. I
don't
mean,
know.
I do know that, absolutely. He was inept against the Patriots in both their games. Flat out inept. He can't hit throws. He's not fast. He's Big Ben, but with no arm. Or maybe he has an arm, but he doesn't throw it. Long strides, great. So you got a quarterback who can get on the sideline. Again, you're wasting time. You're wasting time with this stuff. That's not how the game works at that level.
Well, what about Lamar Jackson then? Is he definitely not a quarterback?
No, but he has potential. I mean, he's a playmaker. That's what I'm saying. Allen doesn't make plays. He stumbles into the end zone a couple times this season, but he made no plays with his arms this year.
I feel like his arm made a lot of plays for the Bills.
All right.
Who else did they have on offense to make plays?
They didn't make any plays. They scored like 10 points a game. They were one of the only offenses in the league that couldn't score this year. They didn't make plays. Why are you assuming they make plays?
Well, I mean, they do make some plays.
Okay, I just Googled him, and the first article that pops up when I Google his stats is a Buffalo article that says how defenses made Buffalo Bills rookie quarterback Josh Allen look bad.
I don't know.
Rookie season, he played 12 games with 10 touchdowns and 12 picks, 2,000 yards.
It's not great.
No, it's not. And he wasn't. He just flat out was not good. Is not good. 52.8% completion percentage in this day and age is not very impressive.
Yeah.
And he doesn't make the big plays either. Like I did not see anything impressive out of him last season. Well, he's a stiff. He's a big guy. That's all.
I think what you also saw was the guy out of those quarterbacks, they basically performed as well as the situation they were put in. Baker had the most to work with. He was the best. Lamar had the second most to work with. He was the second most effective. Darnold, Rosen, and Allen really don't have much to work with.
I don't know if that's fair.
I don't know if correlation versus causation, But
I mean, I don't even know. I don't know how much less Rosen has to work with necessarily.
The Cardinals have one of the worst 3 offensive lines in football. David Johnson wasn't himself. And, I mean, Ken Wisenhunt wasn't helping.
Yeah, but I don't know.
His only offensive talent.
I don't think you can say correlation versus causation with their offensive guys not being themselves either when they have a dysfunctional quarterback. I mean, if you have a functional quarterback, then
they had Sam Bradford for 3 weeks, who we've seen be functional,
sort of,
and sucked.
Yeah, Sam Bradford sucks though too.
But he's been functional.
I mean, sort of. Yeah, I guess.
And don't get me wrong, Josh Allen, bad season. He performed the worst of the 5, I think, and there's an argument to be made for already scrapping Josh Allen. I don't know if it's the right call, but Cardinals had that first pick in the draft. Everyone,
Rosen.
Cliff, what?
Rosen.
What?
You said Allen.
Oh, yeah, Rosen. Yeah. And, there was that thing where Cliff Kingsbury said he would take Kyler Murray with the first pick in the draft months ago. It's tough. I mean, he had literally nothing to work with. Josh Allen wasn't seeing the kind of pressure that Rosen was, but as far as playmakers, he had even less. He didn't have a David Johnson or Larry Fitzgerald. Darnold, he was kind of better than those two, but certainly worse than Lamar and Jackson and Baker, and he's kind of in between on what he had to work with as well.
Yeah, I mean, all of my evaluation of all of these guys is based on what I saw watching them, the little that I watched in college and what I saw watching them last year. And I just don't believe in any of them, in any of their potential except Jackson and Mayfield. Mayfield's the only one who I like to have a future in the league as a starter. I don't think Jackson's going to make it either. I still like the player, and I think he's a good project, but partly given because of his situation.
Also, what do you mean?
Make it.
What do you mean? Make it as a starter? Like here's 25+ mil for 4-year contracts, or
no? Like I don't think I like Jackson Mayfield.
Are we talking like Joe Flacco making it as a starter?
Yeah, just a
Where,
guy
like,
who's
they're
going to
the
stick around in
starter,
a
but
franchise.
You really always got one eye looking somewhere else.
Yeah, that's it. That's all I'm just I don't think most of those guys I don't think are going to be starting for the same franchise for 5 seasons of their career.
I definitely, I mean, who knows, but I still think Darnold can definitely be a mid-tier NFL quarterback. Yeah, not impressed by Rosen, but we'll see.
I don't trust Darnold's intangibles, and most of the time, the instincts I've had about this stuff. I mean, Goff's my favorite example, and he's strikes me as Goff 2.0, and Goff is not good enough.
What?
So, and Goff was comparable as a rookie, I think.
Well, Goff, he had Jeff Fisher, and they went 0-7. But
Well, what did the Jets win? Like 6 games or whatever?
yeah, that's a lot. That's significantly better than 0-7, a 35% win percentage.
Yeah, but the Jets, yeah, I mean.
But you also have to remember Darnold was 20. He's 21 now, but he was 20 most of the season, and he missed 4 or 5 games.
But why? I mean, I just didn't.
Missing time as a rookie is a big deal.
Yeah, I mean, he has a chance, I guess. I'll move him into yes, a chance to be a mid-tier. He could start for the same team. He could be the Jets starter for his whole career, but he's not. Still don't think he's going to be good enough to win them playoff games ever.
I mean, I don't think so, but it's hard to tell off 1 year.
I'm pretty conclusive on that.
But like, you look at like Russell Wilson's rookie year. You know, he wasn't doing anything but hand the ball off. He wasn't turning it over, I guess.
I think he was better. I think he was a winner. That's exactly. I don't care about necessarily how many yards he throws for.
Tom Brady rookie year, throwing for 140 in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, okay, but also take every single time you give him the ball in the fourth quarter, he goes down and scores immediately. See, exactly. It's not about the stats. It's about, is the guy a winner or not? Darnold's not a winner.
Well,
Russell Wilson, Tom Brady, all these guys, you can tell when they come in, either yes, they're talented enough, or you can tell he's a winner. Darnold isn't either.
They have to be on a good enough team to be put in the situation to show.
No, look at
winner.
Mayfield. Look at Mayfield when he first came in, when he was playing for the Browns, when they were chronically still drastically underachieving their talent. You still immediately see Mayfield comes in. He has more intensity and more drive than anything that they've had in the last decade. Immediately, you can see that, and I think that's the case with quarterbacks. You can tell. Is the guy engaged? Is he the leader of your team? Because he needs to be the guy, period. I mean, just, yeah. I think usually the gut test pretty early on, you know if the guy's cut out for it or not. And I don't...
The character argument's fair. I mean, there's no arguing.
Most of the time when these guys seem dumb, they end up being dumb.
Baker, I mean, yeah, there's no arguing that Baker has the respect, and people like Baker. Did you see there was a mic'd up clip of Baker? He Darren Fells, their tight end, grabs him right before some drive in the fourth quarter. He's like, "It's go time! It's fucking go time!" And smashes his helmet on Baker. And Baker's like, "Hell yeah!" And then he walks over to the rest of the offense. He's like, "That guy's a fucking psycho."
Yeah, I've seen that. But I mean, that's your quarterback has to be. I mean, your quarterback doesn't have to be, but that's when you end up with Andy Dalton, or whatever guy who's theoretically, yeah, he's good enough, but exactly, he's there, and you're just gonna wallow in him being there forever. Which is, to me, it's I'd rather not get trapped in the middle with that guy. I look at. I don't want to talk about the Super Bowl for a month, but I look at the Rams and I feel like that was ridiculous. Just scooping up the ball with your car.
With no seconds left.
Yeah, at the buzzer. But I look at, if I'm the Rams, the Super Bowl, if I'm a Rams fan, I guess, the Super Bowl is, kind of scary for me because it's oh God, is Goff going to get better next year, or is next time we make it to the Super Bowl we're going to score 3 points again? And then it's like, but also you can't draft a project when your starting quarterback is 24 or whatever. But also you can't bring in a free agent because that's not. Well, but what is that going to do to the kid's already fragile brain and confidence?
Oh, I mean, you'd be moving on.
But well, so that's I guess is what I'm saying. Like I just think they all of a sudden have a very tough decision to make in the next year or two.
This year,
this is right? Exactly. No, that Super Bowl is a wake up call that he is just not going to be good enough unless he improves because he wasn't good enough.
Well, yeah. I mean, he saw all the jokes and the Gridiron Heights before the Super Bowl,
and they were all true.
All right, this might be Jared's last chance with the team, guys. What?
What? And they all proved true. Well, dude, I just did you watch any of the like mic'd up stuff yet?
I watched the Turning Point, so that had mic'd up stuff.
The full game mic'd up is so telling. Like the whole Patriots versus Rams demeanor is so obviously different. Like McVay, Belichick, all of that. But then also like you can see in the mic'd up that McVay doesn't trust Jared Goff. There's like multiple times where he like says stuff to Goff and then walks away like.
Yeah. Did you see after the one where he was like getting the ball to Brandon Cooks,
Mm-hmm.
he was talking about it and he was like, well, you see like Gilmore dropped off. He's like, yeah, I saw that. I just saw it too late. He's like, all right, you're good. You're good.
I know. And then there's like 3 times in the game where he's like, you're good, dude. You're doing great.
Yeah.
Yeah. He said that. I think he says with like a minute 30 left in the game. Yeah, well, yeah, it was after the pick. That's right. And he, like, after the pick, he's just like, you're good, dude. You're doing great. As he has 120 passing yards the pick and, 4 sacks or whatever.
Well, what I thought was interesting, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if this is true, but I can't remember if I told you this, but Chris Sims said he thought he missed Cooks on that because when they had been running that play all season, even though Cooks is supposed to be the first read, being the deeper route, it had always been Robert Woods getting open across the middle. So he skipped his read progression.
That would make perfect sense. That's a Goffian thing to do. This is how this play always works. Nope, other guy. Just check. It's very Goffian. I don't even know how we just went down that entire rabbit hole of quarterback talk, which is always one of our favorite things to argue about on this show. But we do have actually a quarterback point in the news with the Flacco trade, which speaks to that middling irrelevance and why are you investing resources to go nowhere?
Have you seen their statistics?
The same. Exact. Yeah, I shared that.
The only one
meme.
is just 5 inches taller.
Mm-hmm. It's brutal. I mean...
Well, you know what I also thought was interesting? I can't remember who said this, but if there's one thing that Case Keenum was like particularly good at, it's been maneuvering the rush. He's always been good about that, about stepping up in the pocket. And, he's like a decently built guy, so he can take a hit, and still get the ball out. And I thought that was interesting because he was saying Case Keenum, last year with the Vikings was able to make up for some of the deficiencies on their O-line because of that. Whereas Kirk Cousins, might still be better, but he's not as good as avoiding the pressure, so the results weren't as good.
So let's put rocks for feet Joe Flacco back there and pay him $30 million while we're at it.
Yep.
Or whatever he makes.
Well, I think the whole thing with the Vegas odds going down, I think it's less that they think Joe Flacco is worse and more just that if there was any way the Broncos were going to somehow win the Super Bowl next year, it was because they were going to hit on a quarterback in the draft,
Yeah, or something.
Yeah. So, and if you trade for Joe Flacco, you're probably not getting a high quarterback in the draft.
Well, and it also, like, I feel like another part of that is that this just, like, kills. I mean, even if you're a player in that locker room, it's like you play in that league. You know what Joe Flacco is. And how can you, even on the fundamental level of like, you want to work, like feel like your boss is looking out for you, and then you're like, you probably get the Bleacher Report notification like the rest of us in the offseason, sitting at home, you're like, what the hell? Flacco's our quarterback now? Why? Like, and then you have to just I mean, I think it's it's just not, really, Jeremy, it's not a good move in any way. There's no redeeming value to it. You have the same ceiling, probably, the same floor, basically. He's older, paid
Is
more.
he older?
I think he's older. That's pretty instinctive though, because Keenum's been in the league for quite a while, actually, for sure.
And I also don't really think it matters because either of them are only going to be there a year or two.
Very short term, for sure. Yeah, Keenum's 30. I mean, I think Flacco's like 33, but I guess that part of it doesn't really matter. But the money thing, I mean, you're still paying the guy more money.
Not too much more. I think Flacco makes like 20 and Keenum was making 18.
Who signed Case Keenum to that? The
John
Broncos?
Elway, yeah.
Oh,
they signed him this offseason for like 2 years, 34, I think.
It's so bad. I mean, he's really just been brutal for a couple years now. Elway, I mean, in terms of managing that team, basically since the Peyton move, actually.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's funny because, that's basically all he's done. And the year they actually didn't win the Super Bowl, it was after Peyton had fell apart.
Yeah, actually, true. The Peyton move like barely even worked out for him. They were literally a noodle holding Peyton's elbow apart, or together apart from having that not work.
Well, yeah, I mean,
they went away from Peyton even.
Yeah, well, yeah, I don't remember. I remember Osweiler was there most of the regular season, but I think it was because Peyton actually couldn't play at the time, not because he was benched. But
are you sure? I think they went to Osweiler at one point by choice.
Maybe.
I think they actually had some legit controversy, or maybe it might have.
They
just
also
been when
tried
Peyton
to pay
came back.
Osweiler.
They did.
But the Texans were like, no thanks, we'll do that.
I mean, also the Broncos, like the fact that they had the same stats, the Broncos were brutal last year offensively. Which, I mean, the Ravens were pretty brutal, I guess, too, except for running the ball. So, never mind. I was going to say that Keenum put up the same stats in a worse offense, but they were both in terrible offenses and put up the same stats. So, never mind. This ESPN article about the Flacco trade, though, does say that the Broncos' two best O-linemen last year were Ronald Leary and Matt Paradis, who combined for 15 starts. So if they're your two best and they're playing less than 8 games apiece, that's probably not a good sign for anybody in there. And I don't think the Ravens had. Although didn't they actually have O-line issues too? I think they had sack problems last year. So it's a comparable job. I mean, it's just weird. It's such a lateral move. That's the weirdest thing about it, is that it's just why?
It's got to get cut.
Yeah.
Why give up a fourth?
Well, yeah. I guess that too, for sure. I don't know. Vic Fangio. We'll see about Vic Fangio and Joe Flacco. Our last NFL stuff is the ongoing AB drama. He has to be traded this offseason. It's only a matter of time. He's literally waging a media campaign against the starting quarterback at this point.
Literally.
So,
called him a rapist indirectly.
Yeah, he's liking tweets about Roethlisberger's sexual assault, misconduct, violence, whatever allegations. Is he has he commented, or he's just liking a bunch of tweets, right?
Yeah.
So he's the most passive aggressive modern athlete thing you can do is like a bunch of tweets, and he's doing it. He's also tweeting apparently. And he came out on Twitter, I think today, saying that Ben Roethlisberger has an owner mentality, that he gets to chew out everyone, even coaches, which we both said, yeah, that's kind of how.
He's a franchise quarterback.
Exactly. That's because his job is way harder than yours,
Yeah.
Antonio.
I mean, that's
Like, sorry.
I mean,
He
he's-
is a coach, basically. That's how it works.
yeah. I mean, yeah, that was similar storyline, I guess you could say, to the Russell Wilson versus the Legion of Boom. You know, it's like you got to go with the quarterback.
Yeah.
The franchise quarterback.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and it's like we just talked about. They're the hardest thing to replace. It's the hardest thing to evaluate. They're the hardest thing to replace. Once you find the guy, that's your priority.
There's like 8 to 10 winning quarterbacks, and half of them were like third round or later draft picks.
Right. Yeah. Which I did see in this same Broncos article. Just kind of funny on that note that Osweiler was taken 12 picks ahead of Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
That's so bad, dude.
There are a lot of people taken ahead of Russell Wilson.
I know, but just because he's big, Osweiler, like if you're right there, I guarantee you their quarterbacks board was Osweiler, Russell Wilson at that point, probably. I mean, because Wilson obviously didn't have any hype, but I still feel like there was generally a positive view of him as a prospect coming out.
Yeah.
A long-term project guy with but I feel like people liked his intangibles.
Yeah.
The question was that he was short.
Yeah.
Like if he had been 6'5", much less as tall as Osweiler, then no brainer he would have been picked. You know?
Yeah. I mean, he had a really good senior season, other than losing to Kirk Cousins in not the Rose Bowl,
Whatever.
but something.
Kirk Cousins, those Michigan State teams in that period were actually scrappy good teams. So
Yeah.
that's whatever.
But I forget what I was gonna say.
It doesn't really matter about.
But I mean, you've seen Russell has pioneered for Kyler Murray to not be drafted so late.
Yeah, to some extent, for sure.
Although it's
I also think just the game changing is also.
Kyler Murray
partly-
is even significantly smaller than Russell, so not shorter, but Russell's got like 30 pounds on him.
Yeah, he's pretty thick for a QB.
But Kyler Murray could put on that 30 pounds. You know, he's only 20, 21.
Yeah, NFL training goes a long way too. Where do you think? What's a likely situation in terms of the trade for AB? I mean, the thing that we talked about is that this guy is obviously a huge problem, and he's 30 years old, and he wants the biggest contract in the league.
Yep.
And you have to give up. I'm assuming you still have to give something up to get him. Like
Yeah.
maybe it's a second or whatever, third, but still.
Yep, that's the range I've been hearing.
Yes, but I mean, you know, still a second round pick is not. That's a contributor. Like next year, that's a guy who should be contributing on your team in some capacity. So.
Yep. I think. I mean, pretty much the three spots I've been hearing is Texans, Colts, and Niners.
Yeah.
Seems like the Niners are the favorite of AB, but the Colts had the most cap space in the league and are the closest of any of those teams.
So, do you think there's any...
The Texans are close, too.
Is there any hesitation to trade him in conference, though, if you're the Steelers?
A little bit.
Because that would be my thing, is that...
Yeah, they definitely prefer to get him out of the conference. But I don't think... I think only the AFC North and the Patriots would be like definite no's.
Right. Well, so my thing is just that if it's just going to be a second no matter what, the Niners have the best second. So they could give you a high second for him, which is actually a valuable pick. And then it doesn't matter to it's still a trade. So ultimately, it doesn't matter to the Steelers what the situation for him is like, as long as these teams have the cap space to sign him. Because the only thing is that the Niners aren't going to trade for him unless they can sign him.
Yeah, well, the Niners
can sign him.
The Niners don't have quite as much money to play with as the Colts or Texans, from what I understand.
I bet they can get there.
They're paying a quarterback, but the Niners are also talking about getting Earl Thomas. You're only going to be able
one or the other. Yeah. But I mean, I think they can get, I bet you if they have any cap space, they can probably make enough cap space to get at least choose either one.
Yeah.
Like in the NFL, I think in a given an off season's time, which nothing, so far seems to be immediately moving on this.
They're expected to cut Pierre Garçon.
Okay. So good start. I mean,
Gotta leave them with Goodwin and Pettis, basically.
Eric Armstead at $10 million. I guess that's his rookie deal. There's nothing they can do about that, I think. But they actually don't have a lot of big money contracts. I don't know where they're going to clear the money. I mean, they could cut Joe Staley. He's making $8 million, and I bet you that's mostly all gone if they cut him before camp.
He's definitely still their best O-lineman, though.
That's the problem, is that you're actually looking at this list for them, though, it's like they actually are going to have to make sacrifices if they want the guy, because they don't have.
What's Pierre Garçon making? Probably like $8 million.
No,
Really?
Mm-mm. Well, maybe this is already accounting for him being cut. Actually, yeah, he's already gone off this list.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, but and I mean, they just gave Jimmy G big money.
So they have like 10 guys with cap hits over $5 million. DeForest Buckner's cap hit is $5 million. There's a guy you can cut. Juszczyk, yeah, Juszczyk is a $6 million cap hit. That's absurd.
That's a lot for a fullback.
Yep.
He is the best fullback in football, probably, but
maybe. But you can get a fullback, believe me. And I like fullbacks, but you can get one for less than $6 million. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Their center is a $8 million cap hit. I mean, that's the thing, is they have $19 million tied up in Joe Staley in the center. I don't think Garoppolo's the issue. I think that's the thing for them. And then and a $10 million corner, and yeah, so they actually might not be able to get it done. Although, wait a minute here. Is this real? Oh my God. Never mind. According to Spot Track, they have $70 million in cap space already, so they can for sure get it done. Never mind. They don't have to do anything. What am I wasting time with? So any of these teams can sign him. It's a question of who ends up trading for him. If I'm the Steelers, I would send him out of conference, because you might as well. You probably won't play him if you send him to the Niners, in all reality. Like, maybe you play him once before he's out of the league. And that's the best situation for the Steelers. Best to not remind the fans what could have been. It's nice to beat that guy, but definitely best not to get beat by him in the playoffs. Or even burned by him in the playoffs would be pretty hurtful.
They had AB, Le'Veon, and Juju, and couldn't even make a Super Bowl.
Well, they could barely even keep all three of them on the field for more than like 10 games.
Yeah.
That's it for our NFL stuff.
Is it, though?
It's all I have written down. What else do you have?
I don't know if you want to get into it, but I could talk about other free agents.
I mean, we're at 55 minutes already, 52 minutes, so save it. Save it.
I will not be silenced.
No, save it, because we still got to talk about AD. We did AB, now we got to do AD. Which have these free agents you're talking about had newsworthy developments, like getting a GM fired? Because AD has officially got a GM fired now.
I guess not.
That's better than Coach killing.
The Seahawks haven't done it yet, but are gonna tag Clark. That's newsworthy.
Yeah, no, this is next week's stuff, dude. You gotta be patient. We're in the black hole. You can't be burning topics like that type of pace. No. What are you rushing about? We still have AD to talk about. It's the Pels fired Dell Demps, which I meant to look up, but I'm pretty sure Dell Demps reports this guy. I think it's Nicky Loomis is his name, who runs the Saints as well. Mickey Loomis, sorry. Yep. So he's the Saints GM. Yeah, and he's the executive VP of basketball ops for the Pelicans.
It's a busy man.
Yeah, dude. I think the same ownership group actually is at least has stake in both of them, if not majority ownership. But yeah. So this guy Mickey Loomis, I guess, is a busy man. Yes, involved in the whole thing. Which I don't know. That wows me that this guy is at that level an executive for two pro sports teams.
Yeah, seems hard to believe. Really?
But I guess I don't know. I guess that's kind of a side piece to the Demps firing, which basically is a result of AD storming out of the arena after an injury mid-game, which I don't really get if the GM, like how that's a fire the GM right now type of.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole situation might be a fire the
Especially
GM right now.
if the rumor that Demps was like the most like eager to get rid of him before the deadline of anyone.
Yeah, so that's my thing. Like they were gonna fire him for not getting for getting the trade done if it wasn't good enough, but then they fired him because there was no good enough trades out there to get done. So it was like the guy's just getting fired no matter what. As soon as AD asks for a trade, it's like, well, your job is you're done here, man. You know?
That fixes things.
Well, seriously, like what does it fix? I mean, I guess at the same time, it's like, why not fire him now? Because your season's going down the crapper anyway. Again, we talked about it last week. Zion's out of the question for them, I think. But like in the NBA, what difference does it make if the GM is there for this season or not? And you might as well get somebody like comfortable for the draft. Just like the timing of it. Just why does it all need to be this?
You know, it'd be funny
drama,
though.
Blow up.
It would be pretty funny if the Knicks like gave everything, because I mean, the Knicks have a lot coming, you know, and draft picks and whatnot. It'd be funny if the Knicks gave all that away just to get AD, and then he ends up just rotting in New York instead of New Orleans.
So yeah, that would be awesome actually. And Kyrie and KD don't sign there,
Yeah.
and it's just him and Frank Nicotina.
Yep.
Dennis Schroeder or Dennis Smith or whatever. Yeah, that would be pretty rough.
That'd be Knicksy.
That would be super Knicksy. And I like AD. I still want to see the guy succeed as long as it's not with LeBron. But yeah, that also would be a pleasurable experience for me. Because NBA players just, I like when they get their comeuppance every once in a while. It's really the wrong way to look at it, because those guys ultimately don't have that much power relative to, you know, the owners and executives and everything, and they make the product. But at the same time, relative to other professional players of sports, the NBA players have literally all the power.
Yeah.
So, sorry guys, this is what it feels like to be a football player.
Yeah.
Other people's sports actually are a business. Yours is a drama fest. It's like it's a high school social club.
Speaking of which, I think the Lakers need to move on from Luke Walton.
I would say that is fair. I mean, what is he adding at this point?
Yeah.
He can't be adding anything.
I don't care, like, if the guys like him or whatever, but
You're not winning games.
Yeah, they're not even in the playoffs right now. And I mean,
with LeBron. Dude.
Yeah, I was gonna say the Lakers without LeBron, like, should be a cusping borderline playoff team.
Yeah, at least.
And now they have LeBron
James, who doesn't miss the playoffs on a team that he's on. That's not how it works.
Get Ty Lue.
Yeah, seriously. I mean, in the NBA, in the NBA, when you have LeBron, and especially that situation, who are they going to bring in there that's going to be able to take the reins on that thing, though? That's the only problem.
Well, they might not have to. I wasn't kidding about Ty Lue.
Well, yeah.
Well,
but do you think
LeBron dragged him to 4 straight championships with him just getting out of the way?
You actually think Walton is hurting them to that level?
I don't know, but I know they're not performing.
They're definitely underachieving. I thought it was comical that people were, picking them as potential, real contenders to come out of the West with LeBron. But yeah, the playoffs. I mean, come on, LeBron, guys, and yeah, they have other guys. They haven't
Brandon Ingram.
They've been
Lonzo. Kind of
been sort of, at least competitive without LeBron. And you add LeBron, it's pretty inexcusable for sure. I just don't know. Even Tyronn Lue, that's just in LA with LeBron and LeVar Ball and the whole deal with the potential trades next
I
season.
don't think you need to worry about LeVar too much anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I guess
He's made like one TV appearance in like a year and a half.
didn't he like a month ago? Didn't he? Come
Yeah,
out?
it was recent. Literally, yeah, right before the trade deadline, he said LeBron's not going to win a championship without Lonzo. But that's
Yeah.
just, him not wanting Lonzo to be traded to the Pelicans.
These guys have
As
pretty
any good father would.
true. I guess that's just proof that he does love his sons at the end of the day. We're through the topics list, Jeremy. Oh, sorry. The NBA is starting Basketball Africa League.
I didn't know that.
In 2020, there's going to be a 12-team continent-wide African league, which I assume is going to be
Makes
some kind of
sense.
developmental pipeline.
Yeah.
If they're smart,
It's
which they are.
definitely just going to be like, yeah, it's definitely just a way to get like this untapped athletic, Africa is some of the best athletic specimens.
And we've seen it
And
in
they
the
just-
NBA. The more they look in Africa, the more African players end up in the league.
Yeah,
so.
how many guys have just like someone came up to them at
Yeah.
14 and were like, you should play basketball.
Yeah.
You're huge.
And then they end up in the NBA.
Yeah.
Despite not having competition, which that is another thing. Is like, imagine if Joel Embiid grew up playing.
Yeah, there
in
was
and
an
around this
AAU
thing.
system.
Yeah, right, exactly. Or some high level competitive basketball, even if it's not the growing up, even if it's a college age league, these guys can filter into. Yeah, it makes all the sense in the world. That Adam Silver, Jeremy, I think I like him. I don't know. It's
So
not
did
just
the NFL owners.
yeah. Well, it makes sense, and it's not just him. I mean, I think the NBA is, especially with that international thing, they've always been ahead of the curve for sure.
Yeah.
But at the
Well,
same
I mean,
time,
There's no better way to see how much more global basketball is than to just look at Instagram followers of basketball players versus football players.
yeah,
Russell Westbrook, he's a top 10 name in the NBA,
Yeah.
but he has 5 times as many followers as OBJ, who's the most followed football player.
yeah. I also think that. I mean, and maybe you're right. It's probably
LeBron James has like 30 times more
well, yeah.
followers
But I mean,
than
LeBron's
OBJ.
like one of the most
Well, yeah, he's-
famous athletes in the history of the world at this point.
He is, yeah.
Um,
But I mean, seriously, Russell Westbrook has like 25 million followers. KD has like 50 million followers,
Yeah.
and OBJ has like 7.
I also think that's partly the visibility and like the character thing is like such a big thing in the NBA right now
Yeah.
too. It's like that league has the drama that we talk about is partly built around these guys. Like they all have these alter egos,
Yeah,
and it's like in the NFL, it's
you're the number.
yeah, exactly. Most of them are a helmet and shoulder pads as
Yeah.
far as any of us know.
Like,
They don't say anything in the press conference. They don't tweet anything for the most part, even.
Yep. Adam Lefkoe was talking about like during Super Bowl week in Atlanta, like he'd just see like NFL players just like walking around the streets and no one was bugging him because
Yeah.
they didn't know.
Yeah.
He's like, unless it was Travis Kelce,
Right.
The he's
guys
like,
who do
I just like
commercials.
right before I got in here, Tyreek Hill was whipping around on a motor scooter and no one said a thing.
Yeah.
He's like, I saw Mitchell Trubisky that one person asked for a picture.
And he's a quarterback.
Yeah.
No, but yeah, I mean, it comes down in the NFL. It's like who does commercials? Those are the guys that people know.
Yeah. And like, Hall of Famers, dude. Like,
Yeah,
literally, Walter Jones could walk around Seattle and probably not get recognized all
Yeah,
day.
for sure.
I mean, maybe because he's just so huge.
yeah.
But
Well, that is the one thing with some NFL players. Like Tyreek Hill's, 5'11" or 6 foot or whatever, 5'10". But like, I mean, some guys like Vince Wilfork is pretty recognizable because you just don't see people that large, and you're
Yeah.
like, that guy's pretty huge. He looks like an NFL player. Is that Vince Wilfork? I'm gonna guess it's Vince Wilfork because there's
I've-
not that many people that
yeah,
big.
I've had that. Yeah. Basically, every time I've like seen a professional athlete out in public, I was like, that guy looks like a professional athlete.
Straight
Who
up.
could it be?
Yeah, and then you narrow it down, then you're like, holy, yeah, it is actually a professional athlete. Funny how that works. Oh, an inhuman physique standing over there in the store.
Like, do you remember Jeremy Stevens?
Mm-mm.
He played tight end for the Seahawks in like 05, 06, 07.
Yeah.
He got that DUI with Hope Solo. Probably the most notable thing was he was like dating and getting in trouble with Hope Solo.
Dating and getting in trouble with Hope Solo.
Anyway,
That
back when
is
he was on
notable.
the Seahawks, I saw him at Best Buy once, and like I remember he was like a couple aisles over. I just like look over. I'm like, that dude's huge, and I was like, that guy looks like a football player. Oh, I think that's Jeremy Stevens. He's just like buying like 3 Blu-rays and like a dozen Hershey's bars.
That's pretty NFL player to you. Just
I also-
something weird and a lot of food.
You probably don't. Robert Turbin. He was.
I remember Robert Turner.
Yeah, I saw Robert Turbin at Factoria Mall once, and I was like, damn, that dude has huge biceps.
that's
And
what I
I
was
looked
gonna
over
say.
and I was like, oh, I think that's Robert Turbin.
Yeah. Yeah, with NFL players or like, yeah, it's like even the 5'10" guys, like if running backs are especially a good example. It's like the guy might be only 5'10" or 6 foot, but you still look at him, he's wearing like regular person jeans and they're literally bursting at the seams,
Yeah.
wearing like clothes that are too long for him and still popping out of all of them. Like, yeah, this guy is not regular.
Yeah. Like,
There's juice monkeys running around that are that big, but
my friend ran into a Cam Chancellor at the Woods in Bellevue Square once, and he was just like, wow, that's a really big dude. Wow, that's Cam Chancellor.
yeah, that's how it goes. Or you run into Isaiah Thomas and you have to like pull his hood back from his head to be like, are you Isaiah Thomas, sir?
You know, it was funny. I don't know if I told you, but when I first saw Isaiah Thomas, I thought it might have been Gene Segura because he was wearing like a Mariners
stuff,
Yeah. I was like, is that Gene Segura? No, that's Isaiah
That's
Thomas.
hilarious.
I've also seen Felix in Bellevue, but he doesn't really stand out.
Well, baseball players are barely athletes, so
Yeah.
that makes sense.
I saw Mikey Z walking around downtown Bellevue once.
Nice.
That was also not like I was literally at the stoplight and him and his wife crossed on the crosswalk in front of me, and like it took me a couple seconds. I was like, wait a second, I think that was Mike
That
Zanino.
was Mike Zanino. Nice. Yeah, that's hilarious. I think we should wrap it up, Jeremy. 65 minutes through the topics list.
That's questionable at best.
What do you got to add before I hit the party cast that no one can even see?
I hate Alex Wong.
Oh no.
This made me laugh. Baker, they were asking him, they're talking, he was like, they're like, I can't remember what the question was, but he was like, yeah, Saquon really doesn't like it when people call him Saquads, so I've just started calling him Quads.
What's up, Quads? All right, that was a good one, dude. Thanks for tuning in to episode 32 of Throwing From The One. Like us on Facebook at Throwing From The One. Subscribe here on YouTube, Throwing From The One podcast. Comment on stuff. Say goodbye to Henry. Or say that you like us or don't like us. I don't care. Follow Henry at E36 White on Instagram. He's going to be
What's going to happen
in
to
Uruguay,
E36?
not posting any E36 bits. Yeah, thanks for joining us,
He'll
guys.
probably keep an eye out for other E36s.